Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Mid South Wrestling Review Series for May the 12th, 1984. And 84 is certainly hot in this version of Mid South. Mid South, probably, I would say, my number two all time favorite promotion if I factor in the UWF stuff. And I am a Smoky Mountain devotee. Smoky Mountain, my all time favorite promotion, but a lot of Smoky came from Mid South, and they overlap quite a bit. I still wish that Smoky Mountain was around. I still wish Mid South were around. I wish the territories were around at a whole nother level. In any event, May 12th, 1984 is a good show and worth checking out. Glad you're with us if you're doing that. And ultimately, we've got over 100. Actually, probably close to 150 now, Mid-South episodes. Also, we've got the need for me to hit mute on my deal, apparently, as the my network is in the background while I record, and it was, in fact, playing an advertisement. So, in any event, Jay Youngblood against Doug Vines is the opening for this particular program. Jay Youngblood, a guy who really, with Ricky Steamboat, major guy in '83 in Crockett, kind of comes around here. Vine's relative newcomer, and they're plugging the arrival of Jay Youngblood. Youngblood, a guy who I believe died around this time, or a few years later, and never really hit his stride. But anyway, or got out of the business, one of the two. I don't remember, honestly. Wasn't around for his run, but he had a lot of talent and a lot of potential that never got realized. Anyway, hip tosses and suplexes by Youngblood. Watts is pretty committed to bringing him in strongly, and that certainly comes around. Double chop there, and Youngblood really does look like $1 million here. Needless to say, he gets a quick victory after Vines tries a few things. Chops and the like by Youngblood. Youngblood really kind of doing the Native American thing. Blended quite well. Manages to get a big splash in 1, 2, 3. We move to Steve Bronson and Dr. Death Steve Williams. Now keep in mind, more on the Super Date at the Superdome was part of things here. And Dr. Death Steve Williams manages to kind of be doing the power thing a little bit. Presses him back and does so again. Bronson manages to kick off a little bit. The bear hug by Williams, and Williams manages with the Irish whip and gets it again. Drop out of the corner and drops down for the tackle. Goes right after the leg there and knocks him again, almost like a chop block to the front of the knee. Big Oklahoma Stampede, 1, 2, 3. Butch Reed addresses his actions. Now, I noticed in last week's episode, on the May 5th episode, I forgot to mention the spray painting of the Junkyard Dog. That is because for some reason I had it written down in the wrong week's notes. But Jim Cornette was interrupting the Junkyard Dog on the previous episode, and in fact, Butch Reed comes out and paints the Junkyard Dog yellow, claiming that he is yellow because of his involvement in the Stagger Lee saga. Lee basically says he's going to go back to the top of the promotion, and there's absolutely nobody that can stop him, nothing that can stop him. And we kind of get that going forward. Jim Cornette challenges the Rock and Roll Express, who had stolen the outfits of Mr. Wrestling 2 and his protege, to trick the Midnights into defending against them. Challenges them with $50,000 of his mother's money on the line. Fantastic angle, fantastic promo, worth going out of your way to see. Lanny Poffo and Mike Jackson versus the Midnight Express. Obviously, Cornette not happy with the Express not having the belt any longer, but the continued push of the Midnight Express a pretty big deal. They do a contract signing in a couple of weeks, or maybe even the following week, for the rematch with the Midnight Express. That is going to be no disqualification. Needless to say, Eaton comes in, goes after the arm of Mike Jackson. Jackson, of course, perennial enhancement talent, and goes up and over and misses that. Jackson takes him down pretty aggressively, assertively there, and takes him into the other corner. Poffo comes in. Poffo has been a major source of advantageousness for that general time, and misses a drop kick on the third attempt. Dennis Condrey comes in. Condrey beating the man down, and big body slam by Bobby Eaton. Eaton manages to drop the elbow, and again, hard shot by Loverboy Dennis. Dennis tags off, and they do the heart attack jumping clothesline finish. 1, 2, 3, Midnight Express still on top of the world. Then we go to the Shadow and Magnum TA. Magnum TA is, of course, a major force. The Shadow, kind of an unknown individual, unknown entity, so to speak, masked individual who's going after Magnum TA. Magnum TA has been, and continues to be, a major force in the area, brawling by the Shadow. Doesn't really get things where they want it to go, but gets enough of a run here. And this is actually kind of, other than the announcement of the Midnight Express, Rock and Roll Express return, kind of a weak show, as there's a lot of enhancement talent type stuff on the program. But what's interesting is there's good quality wrestling nonetheless. Choke out with the knee and the hands around the throat and all of that there. Snaps him over, and ultimately drop with on the arm, and the Shadow is unhappy with the inability to beat Magnum. Magnum goes for the backslide, pulls him in, doesn't get what he wants on it, but gets enough, and ultimately goes right to town on that run. Irish whip and a big body slam by Magnum. Magnum comes back and ultimately manages to do everything he can to kind of go heads up with his man there, shot to the eye, and ultimately hits a few shots there. Side headlock attempted, and a back suplex by the Shadow. Shadow continues to go, and a big body slam into the middle of the ring, and ultimately we see the slam from the top rope, the old, I guess you'd say goozle slam from the top rope. This match goes a little longer than expected. Monkey flip out of the corner by TA. TA then hits the belly-to-belly suplex, and not a big surprise, gets a victory there. Landel and Masa Ito against Torres and King, and Ito and Landel, I guess, managed to kind of work together a bit here. I assume it's because they've split Butch Reed off with the Junkyard Dog for a little bit, that the team has broken up a bit here. Not really 100% sure on that, but needless to say, Landel getting ground and pound a little bit there, and we kind of see Torres or King coming in a bit, and big high knee by Landel. Landel really does look like $1,000,000 in the maneuver. Big shot under the chin by Ito. Ito, again with the martial arts, big body slam, hits the leg drop, and is probably one of the more aggressive individuals. Then you see a bunch of shots by Ito, and an Irish whip, and a back chop there. Big, Splash and the victory for Ito and Landell. Crusher Khrushchev versus Terry Taylor is up next and is a match that has been building for quite a while. Of course, Khrushchev has been the television championship holder primarily since that run, with the cheating and all of that that has come with him getting the advantage. Taylor is still a big baby face. Khrushchev manages to get a few shots to the midsection. Taylor, though, takes him down with the arm drags, and you see the numerous flags in the crowd with the waving of the flag because, well, we're in the Mid-South and patriotism is a big thing. To me, clothesline by Khrushchev, patriotism in general is goofy no matter what country you're from because we're all part of one world, but certainly has been used throughout wrestling angles in the various ways. But anyway, the sunset flip by Taylor, and Taylor kind of goes there. We see a big clothesline by Crusher Khrushchev, and again, Khrushchev kind of takes him around to different corners and sends him into the buckle several times, and then we see the crossbody 1, 2, and again. Hard shots by Khrushchev along the way, and hard, again, continuation of that, and kick to the, I guess you'd say, chest of Khrushchev. Taylor continues to come back pretty aggressively, assertively here, and Butch Reed manages to run in Volkov in, basically Taylor getting 3-on-1. Taylor eventually does come back with a series of drop kicks against all of the opponents. Odd that he doesn't have enough friends to come to his rescue, but eventually does clear the house a little bit, and Steve Williams finally makes a late entry. The Mr. Wrestling 2s are unhappy. They're unhappy with Mid-South because of the stolen gear by the Rock and Roll Express in previous weeks. Mr. Wrestling 2 protege against Bob Owens is here, and the 2 protege hits a shoulder tackle, among other things, trying to get things going, swinging neck breaker, among other things, and he manages to get the original Mr. Wrestling 2 on the floor. Big back body drop out of the way, and the drop of the elbow along the way, and gets a victory there. We close on that note, and Mid-South continuing to heat up here in May of 1984. We'll be back with more right after this.